Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm playing music. Good God. All right, let me sort that out. Hi. How are you all doing out there in Mind, Brain, and Behavior 2 land? Everything okay? Hello, Christina. How are you? Oh, Charlie's saying hello too. Are you saying hello? Can you come up here and say hello to everyone? Come on. Hello. Say hello. Everybody's in here. Yeah. Yes, they are. Hello, everyone. Oh, you're so cute. Charlie's helping me out today, aren't you? You're my research assistant? Yeah, you are. Hello, everyone. Hi, Susuf. Hi, Thomas. Yeah, Papa Bear's been in his cave hibernating. Hi, Aled, Seymour, Nicole. Oh, everybody's in. Hello, Samantha. Hi. How are you all doing? Are you doing okay with the assignment? I hope everybody's not getting too worried or concerned. Taking it easy with it all. Hi, Winnie. Hi, Sanmo. Hello, Chloe. You love making graphs. Oh my God. Welcome to my world. So do I. A good graph. Oh man. Somebody light a cigarette. Nothing like a good graph. I think just over time, that's probably one of the things that I've probably actually fallen in love with about research methods, or really developed a very keen interest in, is graphically how you represent data, and translate data in a graphic way. I think it's a challenge to do it honestly and accurately and in an engaging and a very clean sort of fashion. I think it's a very interesting area of research practice. Oh, Risham, I can assure you that you are not the only one who is worried about your assignment. I think I've answered about, probably realistically 30 or 40 emails today about the assignment. Aled, you are multitasking at home after a day of assignment writing. That's good. Cooking a beef stew with a group stream. There you go. Beef stew. That sounds nice. Yeah, Winnie, ask some questions now. So the introduction won't be assessed in its entirety. We're just looking to see if you've made some changes. So if you have a look at the assignment 2 marking criteria, there is some marks built in for you and having made some improvements to assignment 1. So here's what I recommend with this whole responding to feedback given by your tutor for assignment 1. It's a small amount of marks. If you have a look at the marking criteria, we're only talking about not many marks at all. So you don't want to put too much work into this, basically. You want to, but I suppose it's one of those how long is a piece of string sorts of questions. So 10% of your marks for assignment 2 come from tweaking assignment 1, tweaking your introduction based on your tutor's feedback. Depending on what the nature of the flaw was, apparently, flaw, that's a little bit harsh, isn't it? But maybe, depending on what the nature of the issues were with assignment 1, the work required to support assignment 2 might be more or less significant. What you should do, I suppose, is not worry about rewriting assignment 1 in total. That's not what you want to do. I would just be anticipating that many people have probably got issues around the way that hypotheses have been phrased, the way that aims have been phrased, maybe something to do with the introduction section, maybe something to do with the literature review, and maybe having missed reviewing a certain area of the literature. Pick out a couple of things. That's my basic advice. Hi, Levi. And respond to those. Track changes or highlight the text that you've changed in response to your tutor's advice that you got at time 1. And I would suggest that you don't want to go to town. If your tutor's criticism was around your hypotheses, then you could just rephrase your hypotheses in line with your tutor's recommendations. And if you did that well, then that would be sufficient to get the marks that you are looking for there. You're just looking to indicate that you've received some feedback, you've taken on that feedback, and you've responded to it and brought out a better version of the introduction that you had before. Which is something you'll get really used to, obviously, throughout your undergrad career. You will be getting feedback on assignments. This is one of the rare opportunities where you get feedback and then have an opportunity to improve what you're doing and submit that again. And then when you get into postgraduate study, so if you get into honors or masters or PhD, so all of my honors, masters, and PhD students submit work to me. I read it, I make comments, I might track some changes and make some suggestions and feed it back to them, and then it's their job to go and tighten things up en route to coming up with a final thesis or a publication, for example. So don't go overboard on those assignment 1 tweaks. Just look at something that isn't going to be too arduous that your tutor has raised as a criticism, deal with it. But not too much time. There's only 10% of your mark available for this. Do not break the word limit in the process for assignment 1. You want the word limit to stay the same, right? Speaking of word limits, there seems to be a bit of confusion out there based on some of the questions. Charlie, you're in that case. What are you doing? I've got to show you. He lies like this. Let me see if I can show you. He lies with his legs behind him. What are you doing, Charlie? So funny. Gives me endless amounts of joy, that dog. So confusion about word count. So word count for assignment 2 specifically is 1,200 words. So assignment 1 was 800 words. With assignment 2, altogether it's 2,000 words, but assignment 1 doesn't make up any of the words involved in assignment 2, if that makes sense. So it's not like assignment 2 was 400 words long. That's not a thing. Assignment 2 is 1,200 words long. Spooky Shadow says to tell you're a good boy. I don't know if that's a bit of a stretch. We've gone to lying on our back now. Now we've gone to, oh, we're getting a bit R-rated down there, actually, Charlie. Maybe we'll save that for later. The frog leg thing, Acacia, there you go. But you're a good boy nonetheless, Charlie. Yes. Okay, so let's have a look at these questions. Basically rewriting your intro. Well, I suppose if there was something, really serious that needed to be redone to set yourself up for your discussion, then sure, by all means go to town. But of course, just bear in mind, it's only worth 10% of your mark for the assignment. Will the introduction part be assessed again? Oh, right, I've just answered that question. Do you mention the mean and standard deviation in the results section? You certainly can, Chloe. That would be appropriate to to report in the results section specifically. Do we need to include, inferential statistics in the results? Only if you choose to do that. Do not, hey, let go of my jumper. Thank you. Only if you choose to do t-tests. Remember, you don't need to for this assignment. If you want to, you can. I've actually given you the results on the LMS. There's actually a PDF version of the t-test output now. But my advice to you is that you don't have to do that. I don't want you to worry about the t-test if you don't understand it yet. You've just encountered it recently, so it's pretty fresh, and I would certainly understand if it didn't make sense to you just yet. But if it does, then please feel welcome to do a t-test and report your findings. If you don't do the t-test, then you can use your data for any of the 3 hypotheses to develop bar charts like I showed you in my video, and you can do your analysis based on visual inspection of the bar charts. And you might think, that's so unscientific. Why would I do that? Believe it or not, sometimes visual inspection of charts is considered to be a desirable and acceptable way to do certain things in statistics. So, for example, I just had a Skype meeting with one of my research students who is doing some work on... What are you doing, Charlie? Who's doing some work using a more advanced version of a t-test. And one of the things that she needs to be doing is testing whether or not the variables that comprise her dependent variables are normally distributed. And one way to do this is by visual inspection of some data related to the raw data. So it's a little bit convoluted, but visual inspection of figures, again, can be a really meaningful skill that you acquire in your statistics work in psychology. So don't think by any means that, it's a bad thing or a stigmatized thing. We don't want to stigmatize interpretations of figures. Hi, Yanshin. Thank you very much for that really good question. So Yanshin has asked a great question. Do we include both tables and figures or just figures in the results? That's a good one. You could, hey, that is my jumper. Stop it. You could do either, or you could report in text. My preference, I think, for this assignment is that you do tables and you speak to those tables in the text. Oh, sorry, did I say tables? Forget what I just said. Figures, pretty pictures. Make it visually engaging with a bar chart, like I showed you how to do in the video that I made for you. Good Lord, you've really destroyed this, haven't you? There you go. And I would make a bar chart. Well, I think I covered this in the video, didn't I? I sort of described how you might structure each section of the results, where you've got an introductory section speaking to the data that you used, and then you presented the data in the figure below, and then you present the figure, and then you describe the figure and you speak about the trends, and then you tie that off and move on to the next section. That's how I'd recommend doing it. We try not to be redundant in reporting of data. So if we say something in text, we don't say it in a figure as well explicitly. You might describe trends in the figure, describe what's going on in the figure, but not report the same thing in text, in tables, in figures, and so forth over and over again. And that's something that requires rehearsal. I had a meeting with my PhD student this morning, and we were talking about a conference presentation that we're putting together at the moment. And in that conference presentation, there was redundancy between in-text reporting and reporting in a figure, which we ironed out. Charlie does know his yoga. He's very good at downward dog. Would I recommend mentioning the hypothesis word for word in the discussion? Yeah, look, I like explicit and to say things really explicitly and very clearly. I would really report the hypotheses throughout just for the sake of clarity. So in the results section, when I'm talking about testing hypothesis 1, you know, that blah, 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 I'd actually say it just to reorient the reader. And then at the outset of the discussion, you do systematically report on those hypotheses again. So yes, you want to at least summarize what the hypotheses were, that X will be related to Y, or you know, X will be more than Y. Things will be higher before the intervention than after the intervention, et cetera, and do that for each hypothesis. Being very explicit, very clear. That's the way to do it. You don't need to write an abstract, and you don't need to write a method. Gianzia, so no abstract, no method. So, Carolyn, there's variations on the theme about how somebody can structure the discussion section, but my, I suppose, a classic way to do it would be to open with a single sentence that reorients the reader to the aims of the study, and then so, you know, something along the lines of this study, you know, was examining the effectiveness of a hybrid education and contact-based intervention in reducing students' stigmatized attitudes, emotions, and behavior, and then go on to systematically report on the hypothesis. Hypothesis 1, that blah, 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 was supported or not. Hypothesis 2, that blah, 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 was supported or not. Hypothesis 3, that blah, 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 was supported or not. This discussion will now discuss each one of this report will now discuss each one of these findings in turn. And then the next paragraph would be about interpreting what happened with the hypothesis 1 data. Was it what you expected to be to happen? Was it in line with your prediction? How does that relate to the literature that you reviewed in that section of your introduction? And what does it mean? What's the broader sort of theoretical implication? And then rinse and repeat. Do the same for hypothesis 2, do the same for hypothesis 3. Then, following all that, you'd have a paragraph on the limitations of the study and what they were. So, do you need to elaborate? Oh, so, and speaking of the limitations, I see Alicia here has asked a question about the limitations of the study, like explaining why it's a limitation. Yeah, you want to do that. You want to do this in a measured way. So you want to think about what it is about the study that could actually be improved for next time. What can you highlight that you could basically raise as something that's not damning, but something that could be interpreted as something to tweak in a subsequent study. So was it methodological limitations, for example? Was the fact that I told you what the assignment was about before you'd completed the data collection at time 2, at the post intervention time? Is that a limitation? Did that trigger an implicit bias for you to respond lower than you might have otherwise done on the stigma measures than would have happened if we'd kept you naive to the purpose of the assignment and the data collection? Actually, a couple of people have asked me about sample size and whether that is a limitation for this study. No, it's not. So people were worried that because not everybody participated in the study, then maybe sample size is an issue. The sample size is like still 700 something participants, and we're doing 2 group comparisons. So we're talking about roughly 360 or 70 something people, I think, in each group, which is more than enough statistical power to do what we want. So no, sample size is certainly not a limitation. You could think about, oh, Thomas, I'm not giving away all the secrets. There are other secrets that you could certainly come across if you think about what we've done with the study. And I have intentionally built in flaws to the study. Charlie, please stop. That's my chair. We're not eating my chair. I have built in a range of flaws intentionally, and I'll be interested to see what types of things you are picking up. Spooky Shadow, if you didn't really get feedback or criticisms, then I would be getting in contact with your tutor to ask for them, or to ask for more detail. Okay, Shed, that's right. So if you're not doing the t-test, your analysis is based on visual inspection of the figure and the means. So that's right. You would articulate that is how you've analyzed the data. Winnie, you don't need to be writing a method section, so there's no method section for you to write. All you need to be writing for assignment 2 is the results section and the discussion section. Stop chewing my chair, Charlie. Charlie, where's your toy? Get your toy. Alicia, so with theoretical implication, what I'm talking about here is I suppose, the broader meaning of your findings from this study. So at the shallowest, most shallow level, so Lady Gaga right now, the findings are what they are. You found this in this particular study, and that's sort of the most discrete way to think about the findings. But in your introduction, you reviewed the literature that created the rationale for the hypotheses that you investigated in this study, which the findings in this study comment upon. So if we extend the findings one step further, what are those findings, or what's their relevance for the previous literature that you looked at in your introduction? And if we go another step further in terms of generalization, if we think about sort of the coherent theme that literature was looking at, and that your lab report is now a part of that body of work, looking at maybe the effectiveness of education and contact-based interventions on reducing whatever it is, what's the broader theoretical sort of implication? So the general theory would be that contact and education works to reduce stigma. So do your findings support that general theory or not? I hope that helps. Roy is feeling ignored, crying face. Oh, Roy. Hello, Roy. Hello, Roy. You don't just want to commit to that final live stream, do you PB? Final live stream, do I PB? What's PB? Hang on, I feel like I've missed something here. Hello, Papa GP Dog. I lost connection. Have you responded yet about the final bonus assignment live stream? Final bonus assignment live stream. I've not heard about this final bonus assignment. Hey, Papa B, will you be holding that extra live stream on Thursday, Arvo, or Friday morning? Did I say that I was holding an extra live stream? Probably not. Unfortunately, I think I'm pretty booked out on Thursday and Friday. How many limitations? Yeah, that's a good question. Jessica, thank you. PB is Papa Bear. Okay. Got you. So limitations, how many? Good question. It depends how deeply you want to get into your limitation, of course, but I'd suggest like maybe 2-ish, maybe 3. I wouldn't go to town anywhere beyond that. Don't forget, so Alicia, yeah, it would be effective, but also don't forget that your hypotheses are dealing with different things, attitudes, emotion, and behavior. So you'll be talking about them discreetly in that sort of way. Natasha, if you are going to create figures, then yes, that'd be based upon the means. The p-values, they're more of concern if you're going to do the t-test route. And all a p-value means is that people get really confused about p-values, and more often than not think that a highly significant p-value means a really big effect, and that's actually not the case. All a p-value tells you is whether or not, good Lord, long day. Oh, Charlie's chewing on my chair, Alicia, and playing with my foot and trying to pull my sock off. A p-value simply tells you whether or not the effect that you're seeing in your sample, in your study, is likely to be present in the population. That's all a p-value tells you. So when somebody says, super significant p-value, meaning it's a massive effect, that's not the case. When we think about the size of the effect, or maybe, so you could interpret this in terms of, the size of the reduction from pre to post in any of the particular measures of stigma. What's more important, what you would create, what we call an effect size, a measure of the effect as a function of, would be the t-value. Oh, I got on me, bit of fluff. Since we're not doing descriptive stats, t-test, p-value, etc., the result section is going to be pretty straightforward. Am I correct to assume that? Yeah, although I would suggest, Aled, that your descriptive stats might still be something you want to include or talk about, or so, you know, means are really very relevant. So, you know, you might have your 2 bars in your chart, and when you're speaking to your chart, you could say that, you know, it can be seen in figure 1 that the mean for it's my bit of disgusting rope. Come up here. Oh, good God. Oh, it's mine. You could say that, you know, as shown in figure 1, the mean for the pre-measure of 13.7 was higher than the post measure of 7. You know, mean of 7, etc., etc. Yeah, means and figures would go together meaningfully, and yeah, if you do bar graphs, that I think that's a really meaningful figure for this particular data set. I wouldn't worry about doing any others. Can you mention the p-value without mentioning other aspects of the t-test? Good question, Marani. No, you shouldn't. So if you don't feel comfortable in reporting the other information about the t-test, including the t-score, then I would suggest not trying to go the t-test route and taking the interpretation of figures route instead. Jessica, you can introduce new ideas in your discussion, but for the most part, you're trying to interpret purely based on what you've presented in the introduction. Now, it could be that maybe for assignment 1, you were a little bit light on with the introduction, in which case you might want to go back and do some tweaking. And add some more things in that you could then talk about in your discussion. A classic way or place in discussions in which people will introduce new material is when a hypothesis was not supported. So if you've found yourself in the instance where one of your hypotheses are not supported, and I don't think anyone will have found themselves in that situation, but if you did, then I would suggest that that is a place that somebody would typically introduce new information when they try to explain what it is that you know, has happened that has influenced the findings. Why have these findings come out the way they have, which was not the way that was predicted? You might consider it something methodological, something different about the way you've done your study and the studies that were done previously that you based your rationale upon. Could there be some difference in methodology? Was the sample slightly different? Was the measurement different? What was done differently? You could introduce different measures there. Hi, Bree. Is there somewhere to refer to ensure the t-tests are okay, because the research methods module isn't for repeated measures? So that was the practical class. So the repeated measures contents in the practical class. That was last week before. So at the moment with practical classes, you're in, I want to say social psychology, is that right? Yeah, so it's about perceptions of dangerousness. So, okay, social psychology, Milgram, Bickman, and Berkowitz, making people look up in the air, that sort of thing. All right, there's lots of questions here. I'm going to scroll back up. Don't need a null hypothesis. No. So because within a null hypothesis significance testing framework, which is the one you're learning about, you would never pose a null hypothesis. You'd be proposing a hypothesis of effect. So no, you don't need to articulate a null hypothesis. It's just the flip side of what it is that you're interested in. Yes, your hypothesis should be in past tense there, Annabelle. It was predicted that. I'm asking if you guys can provide female, hi Winnie, male ratio, sample age, how many psych major students, because I'm thinking about writing them down in limitations. Did we collect that information? Safe to say that you should think of other limitations than these, Winnie. It's too late for providing this level of additional information. Hi, Rihanna. I just joined in and I was wondering how many graphs were needed. I think three. One for each hypothesis. Oh, you drew an amazing group the other day. There you go. Fabulous. What are you doing, Charlie? What are you doing, Charlie? Do we need to insert the SPSS output tables as well? Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Papa Bear's statistics advice for the rest of your undergrad career: never insert anything from SPSS into a lab report. SPSS output is ugly AF, and you can always make it better by doing it yourself. Charlie's getting cantankerous. You're welcome, Jessica. Hi, Arlene. That's a really good question. So should we mention the 3 scales in the introduction, or... oh, wow, the spam bots are coming out. Oh, and now interesting messages are coming out. Good Lord. Yeah, you can proceed assuming that there was a method section. So your marker will proceed assuming there was a method section in which this was all reported. It'll be fine. Just the original citation, Annabelle, that I've provided on the LMS for it. Oh, my Lord. It's a cuddle attack. It's a cuddle attack. What are you doing? So yeah, Times New Roman or Arial 12 point. That's right. Yep. So Carla asks a really good question. If you use the t-test and p-values in the results section, do you need to expand on what these mean for the study and the discussion? Or can you just talk about it being significant and expand on that? So, first of all, Carla, I love that you've got the idea of the distinction between the results and the discussion section, and that you just report those things in the results section and then you go towards interpretation in the discussion. So, what you would do in your discussion section is not go into describing what the T value means and what the P value means, et cetera, et cetera. You can just talk about them being, well, let's face it, across the board, the post-intervention mean being lower than the pre-intervention mean, significantly, statistically. Hello, Catalina. I believe that you're trying to say hello. Do I speak Romanian? No, I do not. Acacia. Oh, yeah, very good. Okay, thanks for that advice, Acacia. Game, please. I'm feeling like you're not one of my students, Catalina. Have I made this public? Can we mention the data? How about we put Catalina in a timeout? There we go. Can we mention the data, mean and standard deviation in table form for the results section? You can. That will be fine. But the question will be, do you want to do it in table form or figure form? Because you don't want to do it in both. You'll need to choose one. And either is really fine. I just personally am more of a figure man. Well, it depends. Are we going to play tug of war, are we? It depends, really. It's all getting a bit serious here. We're playing tug of war. Oh, dear me. I like tables for presenting lots of information. If I'm presenting just one, this stuff I've got all over me. If I'm presenting just one thing, then, oh, you're so strong. You're so strong. Then I like to do it in a figure. Is it okay to include error bars? Yes, that's fine. Oh, yes, absolutely, Natasha. So you can, oh, Charlie, you're so big. You can label the x-axis. I was really just demonstrating for you in the video. So yeah, don't feel limited to what I did in the video. There's more to creating figures than that. I just wanted to give you a helpful start. He is cute, isn't he, Jessica? Can you calculate effect sizes using the Cohen's d formula? Yes, human, you can. I would be very impressed if you did that. Oh, sorry, whoever's calling me has to wait. I'm surprised we got that long without a call, actually. Text one, figure one, and then maybe some text. So some introductory text speaking about what you did your analysis on the basis of, introducing the data and it being presented in the figure, then the figure, then some, hey, oh, you're shaking paws. Are we shaking paws? Yeah. Then some interpretive text after the figure, and then repeat. Yeah, that's right, Oral. You've got the idea. So, Annabelle, if there was a mean value of, would it be possible? I mean, theoretically, the mean could be any of the possible points on a scale. If everybody scored at the floor of the scale, then sure, the mean in that case would be equal to the median and would be equal to the mode. Everything would be collapsed on one data point, or roughly thereabouts. Hi, Adriano. Sorry, what are you sorry for? No need to be sorry. The range on the y-axis is different for all the graphs, right? Yeah, well, that's what I was setting up in that discussion, wasn't I? That you could entertain what the plausible range of values are and just think about how you could set up your figures to have integrity, essentially, to overcome the lie factor that Excel builds in to make it look like there's something happening there that's really interesting. Yeah, only 3 figures, Natasha. That's right. Excuse me. What are you doing over there? You're getting ready to go out, aren't you? I know. Hi, JC. Nobody's asked that question yet. So what you need to do is go into Turnitin and see your the comments section. The comments section and Turnitin on your paper. That is where you've had enough. You want out, don't you? Yes, you do. That's where you will find your feedback for assignment 1, and that's where your tutor will have written your mark as well. Samantha, yeah, you just want to describe what's being shown in your figure, basically, in that little brief description. So what's it showing? It's showing the mean scores for whatever the measure is, both pre and post intervention. I guess I feel. No, Yo. So Yo Robsy asks a really good question. Do you need to? Oh, that's my computer. You cannot bash my computer up. Do you need to include the details about the social distance scale scores being reversed and so forth? No, you don't. That would be something you'd do in the methods section if you had a methods section. Oh no. Oh, Catalina, yeah, dislikey. Absolutely. The feeling is completely mutual. Let's put Catalina back in timeout. Hey, don't you eat me. Does Charlie know any tricks? Yeah, he knows. Oh, Aled, I love it. I love it. Charlie does know tricks. Let's get him to see if he remembers how to roll over. Charlie, come here. You can have your toy in a minute. Come here. No, down. Sit. Boy, right down. Lie down. Lie down. Oh, you want this. You think I'm going to throw it. We haven't done this for a while. Can you roll over? Roll over. No. Here, sit. Good boy. Roll over. Roll up. I've got the ball. You think I'm going to throw it? Come here. Come on. This is important assignment business. Sit. 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 Roll over. No. Sit. Sit. Oh my God, I'm just laughing at the absurdity of the live demonstration from somebody with a PhD in neuropsychiatry and 10 years as a marine mammal trainer not being able to get the dog to sit. We'll have to work on that. We'll work on it for next time. He's just too interested in this at the moment. There you go, Charlie. Yeah, it's not going to end well, is it? In this study, yeah, I don't mind that at all, Carla. Do you provide in-text citations for the 3 scales if you mention them in the report? Yeah, just do that the first time, and then you don't need to do it again. Charlie's a bit frustrated. He's been in here for too long. Just at the point where you introduce them, wherever you speak about them the first time, and this will be different for different people depending on how you've gone about your introduction. It may be in the results. That's the first time that you're mentioning them. So just the first time you mention, give that in text, not in sex, in text citation. Dear me. The slides from the week 7 tutorial will be available. Let me have a look here. So they are there. Oh, wait, no, they're hidden. What's going on here? Are they hidden? No, that looks like it's available. What's that? Let me click on it. Okay. Oh, no, they're there. They're there in the so tutorial 6. Good Lord, I sounded like Borat then. Tutorial 6. Oh, then I just became like, what was that? French, Russian Borat? I don't know. Deary me. Italian Borat, maybe? It's there anyway. It's there. So Marani, they are there under week 6, tutorial 6, which was week 7. How many words should you include for each hypothesis in the results? Really good question, Yanshin. So, roughly about a third, I suppose, of the results for each hypothesis. Let's see, how long is it going to take you in terms of words? I think you'll probably end up around 300 to 400 words, maybe, somewhere around there. Oh, Charlie, you got a clap for trying. That's nice. Something went bang. Um, so, Winnie, that's a really interesting idea about a limitation. I think you might be onto something there. I'd encourage you to think it through maybe a little bit further and think about what if that would have affected both testing times or just time 2 and not time 1. Have to think about that. Oh, Shane, you should be doing this assignment. If you were doing this assignment, you'd just be so enthralled. Okay, we have got a few minutes left. So if you have got lingering questions, now is the time to ask before Charlie decides that he needs to go to the bathroom, and nobody wants that. You've all experienced that already in the lecture, right? Well, the evening people did. Charlie, dearie me. Shame. Hi, Jessica. I do have tips on how to start. So earlier in this stream, I was talking about how you could structure it, and I'd suggest starting by developing the structure, sort of in your Word document, developing a paragraph plan based on what I was talking about earlier in the stream, and then begin by doing each thing in turn. Start with the opening paragraph that reorients the reader to the aims and reports on support for the hypotheses one by one, and then go on to discuss the findings for hypothesis 1 and so forth. Do you propose limitations without citation? You probably will quite a bit, Gianzia. So a lot of the limitations will be based on your assessment of the current study. That does sound about right, Aled. Well done. What are you trying to tell me? Is it your dinner time? Is it your dinner time? Is it? It is. I know it is. How about we feed you, and then Daddy's got a lot more work to do yet. How should you write your titles for the figures we provide in the report? There is a style. Hey, do not eat my jumbo, baby. No. There is. You want to do it in APA style, or you want to apply APA style to the document overall? And I was just about to go searching for APA style, but then I remembered I've put some links to APA style up in the assignment section of the What are you eating? On Canvas. So I would suggest having a look there. Having been a dolphin trainer, a dog trainer, any trips of training a cat, I did tigers as well. All depends what you want. I suppose the most important thing is to know what is reinforcing and motivating for your animal that you're training. That's the good place to start. Everybody's reinforced and motivated by different things. Charlie was and know when to do it and when not to. And what you just saw there before was an example of when not to. I reckon we can get a roll out of him though. What's he done with his toy? Where is it? I reckon we can get this roll out of Charlie. Let's see if we can finish the stream with a roll. Come on. Hey. Oh, you've got your toy again. Ah, this isn't going to work. That's just not going to work. I was just saying know when to and when not to. This is precisely when not to. This is not going to work, but we'll give it a go anyway. Charlie, come here. Okay, position. Sit. Good. Sit. Boy, right down. Lie down. No, down. Right down. Good. Roll. Roll. Ah, good boy. There we go. Oh, you're so clever. You're so clever. Oh, my God. Oh, you're so clever. Yes, you are. Good boy. There you go. Hey, look at you. Good boy. And there's your toy. Woo! Yay for Charlie. So Charlie's trying to tell me something. Hi, Christiana. That hadn't been asked, but it's a really good question. No is the answer. Go and have a look at the word count policy in the years 1 to 3 subject manual. Have a look at the most recent discussion board posts about assignment 2 that have gone up today, and you'll see, excuse me, that I've copied and pasted the caption from the discussion board manual there. Oh, I'm very glad to hear that everybody is impressed with the live stream. That's good. Well done, Charlie. Good boy. No, Yan Sheen, that's completely fine. It can sound repetitive, but you know, that's just what lab reports are. Yeah, he's completely dad walk time. He is, yes. No problem. All right, everyone. So I'm going to sign off because Charlie needs attention and then I need to get back to doing some work. So I hope that was helpful. If you tuned in late in the stream, be sure to go back to the start and watch it all the way through, and you'll probably find that we've talked about most things that you would be interested in. And don't forget to keep posting any questions you may have on the discussion board, and Caitlin and Amy and myself will all be popping in and making sure that you are doing okay en route to the submission for assignment 2. So thanks, everyone. Have a good one. You're very welcome. Charlie, gonna say goodbye? Yeah, come here and say goodbye. Oh, don't bang your head. You gonna say goodbye to everyone? All right, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Good luck. Don't stress about this. It's just a little assignment. You've got it. It's going to be fine. Okay, everyone. Oh, dearie me. All right. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.